it got real messy because, oh, sloshing my coffee in the wind. A bit of an unfortunate happening there. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today is a little bit of behind the scenes day, some bonus footage. So just leaving the forest, well, not leaving the forest, but leaving a camping area, I hiked back to my van, got everything squared away, and just kind of in between camp locations, I stopped off at this river just over here to resupply on some water because my jug is empty. So I'm gonna have to fill that up. But right now, I'm gonna start a hot coffee. So I've got this wind reflector, one of these panel type deals. It is very windy out. So I'm just gonna set this up here on my little makeshift van table. And I've got my fire maple pot with the stove, which is great because it has a little igniter on the side. This does have a reactor bottom in it as well, so it heats up very quickly. So let's get this fired up. Boom. And then we can block out a lot of that unwanted wind and make this stove that much more efficient in the wind. So right now I'm actually heading out doing a hot tent trip. Boomer is, he just woke up in the van, so I just pulled over, got to get all this stuff figured out. So I figured why not make up a coffee and bring you guys in on some of this behind the scenes. I don't normally do this, but I figure, you know what? It's probably some useful information here for some of you out there. So coffee filter, coffee cup. Today is very windy, so I positioned the van off this logging road with the doors facing in towards the forest on purpose. That way I don't have to battle the wind. I do have to reset a lot of gear, get my backpack packed. I've got to get changed out of these clothes and have something fresh. So when I do drive to the next location, I can just grab my bag, camera gear, lock the van, and head off into the forest. Right now, looking at my thermometer, it is saying it is 5 degrees Celsius. And keep in mind, the doors have only been open briefly. The sun is poking out, so that probably has a little bit of residual heat from inside of the van. I don't know. It is chilly out though, I will say that. Last night it had, it rained and then it froze overnight. So not the warmest, not the coldest either. So I'm gonna get some of this coffee ready so when that water is hot, I can mix it up and enjoy a cup of coffee while I plan my day. All right, so that's only been on for probably about 45 seconds, honestly, guys. That is hot enough to pour the coffee, so pull it off and get some coffee brewed up here. It is pushing about noon right now, and probably about 11 o'clock actually, not quite noon. So it's basically at the peak temperature of the day almost, which is looking really good. I'm going to be excited to get inside of that hot tent later on tonight once I find a suitable location to call home for the evening. And yeah, it's going to be very enjoyable. So this is nice and hot. Going to grab some creamer out of the fridge and have a nice cup of coffee. All right, grab some creamer out of the fridge. I will mention the van is a complete gong show right now. Caramel macchiato. Okay, so this is a fresh bottle of creamer, so I'll punch the top on that. Whew. Yeah, that wind's picking up. I'm glad I'm sheltered here behind the doors of the van. The bonus of having dual doors opening on the side. So with my coffee grounds, I'm just gonna dump that on the ground. Fertilize the earth a little bit. This windscreen system works really well for hiking and for van life. Super lightweight aluminum. I think it cost me like $5 on Amazon, maybe $7, I'm not sure. Comes with a nice little carry bag here. So I'm just gonna put it in there because I don't want it flopping around the van. The van is a mess right now, I will say that. By the time I made it back to the van this morning after hiking and just tossing everything in there, it got real messy, and that's nice and cold. Got the refrigerator running at like a quarter power right now, so I've got it set for 4 degrees Celsius, and it's like barely even kicking on. That's how cold it is outside. Even with the heat on in the cab, it's only kicking on minimally. Yeah. All right. Let me show you around. All right, let's go take a little walk here. So like I said, I'm just pulled over on the side of a logging road. Nothing glamorous, certainly nothing fancy, but there is, here I am checking for traffic. There is a nice little meandering stream type river, and this is where I'm going to collect water from. I'm going to have to filter it, and any water that I have available in the van, I always boil because, oh, sloshing my coffee in the wind. It's really windy out right now. Any water I boil because typically, super windy. The grass behind me is just like blowing all over the place. Any water I have in the van, I usually cook with it. So I either cook or I boil, make coffee, heat up some water for a hot washcloth, whatever I'm doing, or it's Boomer's drinking water. So I am going to filter it. I do have a filter, but yeah, what I'm trying to say is I'm not really worried about the water source. As far as it being clear of like pollutants that my filter is not going to take out, it's in the middle of nowhere. So it's a fairly safe stream, I would think. I mean, I haven't tested it, but yeah, water. So here I am on a bridge, drinking coffee. Take a look at this view. So in the fall, all this stuff is lit up just red and golden. As you guys can see, there's not a whole lot of leaves left in these trees. They come through here on a cloudy day like today, and when these colors are in full bloom, absolutely beautiful location. So that's one side of it. I'm gonna have to crawl down there on the rocks and fill up a water container before I leave. Now on this side, it turns into a forested stream, like a legit nice creek. I bet it's really good for small brook trout. It looks like it tapers down to some rapids way back there. Pretty interesting area. So I like kind of venturing into these locations where you're not necessarily going to camp. Like, I'm not going to camp here. Mind you, if I was doing a van camp or nomadically living in this area at this particular time, I would sleep right there, no problem. There's fresh water. I can come over here and fish. There's an area for a campfire. It's a nice location. 0 cell phone reception, very far up this mountain road. So not likely going to be bothered by too many people. Gotta love that coffee. But this area is very, very nice. Boomer's liking it too. All right, doing the coffee walk here, balancing, trying not to spill in this wind, this rocky road. And I've got to pack my entire backpack today. Holy, man, it's windy. Whew. Trying to turn out of the wind right now. Coffee's being sloshed all over the place. Holy. It's gonna be a windy one for that hot tent, I'll tell you that. I'm gonna have to find a location nestled deep in the forest out of this wind. Whew. All right, making it back to the van. If you guys have been on the channel for a while, you'll remember that I placed these camera mounts permanently around the van. You guys are on one of them right now. The bonus with this one is when the door shuts, it's also an interior view. But right now it's an overhead outside cooking view, lounging, chilling out, and it's kind of relaxing. So while I'm here to pack this stuff up, and this is real and uncut, guys. So doing this behind the scenes is kind of a fun way to show a little bit of the workings of how this stuff is done. I know a lot of the viewers on the channel do watch other van life channels, and I often travel around in my van, living out of it as well. So it's always fun to see how people do things differently than others and how we still do things similar to one another. So as fashionable no service area, I'm actually going to edit this video tonight on my cell phone. So right now I'm recording on the DJI Action 4 Osmo. I also use the DJI Pocket 3 and the Air 2S drone. The reason why I'm mentioning DJI so many times is because they are all wirelessly transferable to the DJI app on my phone, which means I could transfer all of the video files off of this camera, my other two cameras, onto my phone and use the YouTube Create app, which is free, and edit and create an entire video. Either save it to my phone, which I'm gonna have to tonight, or upload it right away in 4K resolution. No computer, no DSLR, just basic cameras, basic app, a lot of skill and know-how. Anybody can do it, honestly. It's so easy. So I'm gonna have fun with this later on tonight once I'm hunkered in the tent and relaxed. So let's finish up this coffee. Oh, that's good. Okay, so I don't really like to waste water, even though I'm going to fill this up in just a few moments. Water is very valuable. So I'm just going to pour it back into here. Boomer has a full dish on the floor full of food and another dish full of water. So he's good. Put my canister back at, oh, this pot from Fire Maple fits these small canisters in there beautifully. And then the canister stove on top, and then the lid on top, pinch, snap, all in one. Can't go wrong with that. And then it even has a mesh bag just to kind of keep everything contained. I like using the mesh bag for hanging stuff around camp and organizing my coffee and stuff for the morning. So that'll go over there. This creamer's got to go back in the fridge. That big canister I'm just going to toss there in that net for now. Spoon there. Fold up the table. My coffee filter is just about dry. Shake it off a little bit. I've been clicking it to this hook a lot lately as I drive, and the heat actually dries it out, the heat from the van. It's over the footwell, so if it does drip, it's not dripping on my floor or anything, but just a neat little hack. I click it on my hook and on my fire extinguisher, and it just kind of hangs out for the ride down the road. So that'll work out great. Tripod, got to pack this up and head into, or at least research, look on my map, my offline map, and see the area that I want to get into looks like it's feasible today. I have not been there in about 2 years, so I have no idea what it's going to look like, which is always fun. It's fun to mix it up every now and then. So all this stuff, the van is wrecked, guys. I'm going to have to clean this van out when I have a moment. I don't know. I've got the Jackery down on the floor right now. I've got my gas generator. I've got to fire that up when I do get to location to finish charging the Jackery. My Blue Eddy, small Blue Eddy battery is plugged into my onboard power grid. So that's charging. I have some DSLR batteries charging there right now as well. So basically when I park, I've got to fire up the generator, charge the Jackery. As the Jackery is charging, I'm going to plug my refrigerator into the Blue Eddy or to the onshore, whatever I want to plug it into. I can plug it into my home batteries. I have 200 amp hours, or I can plug it into the Blue Eddy, charge up the Jackery as I'm packing my backpack, doing all that stuff. And then once I'm done and I'm ready to hit the road or hit the trail, go hiking, all I've got to do is take the fridge cord, plug it into the Jackery, and that'll run for days. So honestly, that's the Explorer 2000 Pro. That refrigerator will run for about 7 to 8 days in the summer, holding at 2 degrees Celsius. Right now it's cold, so I would bet that would probably run about 2 weeks. Honestly, 2 weeks on a full charge, I don't think that would be a problem at all. So Let me get that back in the fridge. Boomer is, I just heard him, he's somewhere, so I gotta get him back in the van, fire it up, and head down the road. All right. Strolling around here. Jump in. And let's get this fired up, and then we are good to go. All right, so before we get going here, I gotta take my jacket off because it is still quite warm in here. And talk a little bit about the refrigerator and what I've done to basically keep it efficient as possible. So, fire up the van, turn our heat down low. Okay, so before I go plugging anything in here, I'll just show you guys. Okay, so like I said, excuse the horrific mess in here. So what I've done is I've rigged up two 12-volt cigarette lighters that are live power all the time. These are not activated for ignition. They will work anytime you plug something in there, so it's very important to remember to unplug them. That is for my backup camera, because obviously I do not have a camera that can see. So I don't know if you guys picking that up in the camera, but that is a rear view out the back. A lot of glare there. And then I've got my 12-volt refrigerator plug. Plug that in, and my fridge turns on. So right now, I don't know if you guys can see that, but that is lit up. It is on. And so what I'm going to do is take my down jacket, and this is what I like to do in the summertime, not so much right now, but I just take my down jacket, drape it over top, making sure that the vent on the side of the fridge can still breathe in air, otherwise it'll burn out, it'll get too hot. And that insulates the refrigerator, helping it stay cold. It also hides a lot of things. When you're parked in certain areas, people look in, they see valuable things, kind of drape it over and hide everything. So that is my fridge setup, guys. I've been asked a lot about it, figured I might as well show you. That is what our day is looking like. Got to get to location and get a bag packed and yeah, do the whole camp video thing. All right, so get my phone plugged in there, belt on. And guys, I know this is gonna be a little redundant. I'm just trying to keep this video as real as possible. The microphone up here, I could cut a lot of the stuff out, but I think I'm gonna leave it. So right now I'm on the Action 4, as stated moments ago. And oh, there goes a container. And as you guys know, I did make a bracket for the Pocket 3 to sit on the dash. Well, right now, there's no bracket. I gotta back up a little bit. Right now, there's no bracket for the Action 4. I don't feel like going out back and getting my quick release plate to put on there. It's nonsense. The reason why I'm sticking with the Action 4 is because I want to simplify my edit later on this evening. Off of one camera, compile all of the footage and go from there in chronological order. It makes it way simpler, way faster to do. And yeah, I do want to relax in my tent later on as well. I don't just want to be editing all night. So we're on the road. It is bumpy. So I'm going to get to location and give you guys a brief look at what I'm going to be packing, how I pack, my thought process, what I do when I'm packing. Sometimes it's a pretty argumentative task with myself of what I want to bring, what do I want to accomplish, what am I going to cook. That dictates what dishes I need to bring, what fire method. Obviously I'm bringing a wood stove and a hot tent, so that kind of eliminates certain things, but it also adds a lot of complexity to certain things as well. So anyways, we'll drive down this road to a spot. It's about an hour away. So try and pull in there and hopefully the van can get in there. I've never been there in the van. I haven't been there in 2 years also, so I don't know what the road looks like. But hopefully I'll be able to get into where the trailhead is and at least hide the van, park, and then I am going to set up a trail camera. I always set up trail cameras, 2 or sometimes 3, different angles of my vehicle wherever I'm at in the woods. That way, if anything does happen, I can at least see what happened, maybe capture someone's face or license plate, which I've done in the past. And it really works. So trail cameras, get those rigged up, and yeah, hopefully have some fun hiking. All right, just getting off the main road, coming down the off-road portion, if you want to call it off-road. I mean, I've been off-road the whole time, but this is an off-trail, so it is not the greatest for clearance in a van. I've got a big rock up here. Oh, it is very bumpy. I have no lift in this van either, so this should be interesting. So have a look at this trail. So it's really hard to tell from here, but that rock right in front of the hood right now is actually about a 12-inch drop on the back side. I'm driving a very long van, so I've got to be mindful of my exhaust and transmission and oil pan and things of that nature. Oh. And yeah, just choose the best line here. I do a ton of off-road driving in trucks and Jeeps, so luckily I am not new to this. And the van is certainly a vehicle that needs a lot of attention driving through here. So keep the tires on the high spots, avoiding any kind of damage underneath. Man, this thing is big. It is like driving a boat on road, let alone off road. It's hilarious. Alright, getting a little narrow up here. Like I said, I have not been down this road in about 2 years. So right now it's not terrible, but in the winter, as more mud and snow and ice forms here, the van would never be able to get in here. I know that for sure. But right now it's definitely passable. Not bad at all. Now, one thing I gotta say is it's always comical where we push our vans. The locations these vans go. If the manufacturer only knew that this is what this van was going to see and become in its future, it's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Bit of mud up here, some waterworks. Alright guys, well, I'm at the trailhead. I'm actually shocked. That road was very easy to navigate through. Not bad. Mind you, I typically don't come out here until it's usually winter time, and I haven't been here in a long time. So we are here, made it. Now comes a task of dealing with that horrendous mess and getting packed and getting on the trail, because it is, what time is it? It is going on 12 o'clock right now. So or 1 o'clock, sorry, time change. Going on 1 o'clock now, so you got a lot to do. The area looks like no one's been here in quite a while actually, so could be a good thing. So I'm gonna get out, get the backpack packed, and get on the trail. Alright guys, so I'm doing a really simple pack up for this trip. I've actually changed gears, and yeah, a little bit of an unfortunate happening. There are people at the trailhead and a lot of ATVs and noise, so I'm not going to be hiking in there. Instead, I've actually taken the drone. Let me get situated in here for a second. Okay, now that I'm situated in the van out of the wind, I've actually driven to another location. I've got about a 5-kilometer hike down an old logging road. This is an area that I checked out months ago with my drone, flew it over, and there were a couple things that were really, really interesting that I made mental note of. I'm going to pack a bag specifically for that. No tent, no hammock, nothing. Old school style sleeping bag, backpack, saw, axe, pot. And it is flurrying out right now. There are actual snowflakes flying through the sky, very lightly, but it is happening, so I want to hurry. Like I said, I've got a 5-kilometer hike. It should be fairly simple. It's an old logging road. I'm going to make my way down there and, yeah, basically find a spot to call home for the night. Couple things that I saw on my drone I hope is still there. It did go through summer, so I would imagine it. Some of them are probably still there. Anyways, I'm going to pack up really quickly, leave this video here, and jump onto my other channel and start filming that adventure because I've got a lot to do. So thank you very much for joining me on this little behind the scenes sneak peek. Check out Lone Wolf 902, link in the description for the video that I'm talking about today. I've got a ton of work. So see you guys.